What's up, guys? It's Bax, and today I wanted to make a little bit of a advanced Caustic guide because I see a lot of people who do play Caustic, and there's a lot of little things that they could do to get better at him. He is still probably the weakest legend in the game, especially for ranked. He's just so big. When you're at the top level, aim isn't something anyone's worrying about. Everyone's going to know how to aim. So it's not about your aim, it's about your team play and your team tactics. And while he is strong in his ability to be defensive and work well with his team, his weakness is just his size. And his traps are a bit weak. So it's very easy for a good team to just play around you and use your weaknesses to their advantage. You don't really have much that you can do as a Caustic player to beat most people at a higher level. So when I was pushing Predator, I didn't play Caustic, but once I hit Predator for fun with some of the people I was playing with, I was playing Caustic. And I think I pushed up to around 1100. I think 1070 was my highest on the Pred rank before I quit pushing ranked. But in his current state, he's not the best for pushing Predator with. I would only recommend it for fun. Some people, though, they just love playing Caustic. And again, this is PC, so it's a little bit different than console. But something that most people wouldn't think of because no one really plays Caustic is the comp you're going to want to run in Predator ranked games with a Caustic is you really need a Watson and a Wraith with you. The Wraith is mobility to get you from place to place because you have no mobility as Caustic, and you do not want to get caught out in the open, and World's Edge is filled with huge areas with absolutely no cover, and you don't want to get caught out, and you'll just be beamed by anybody. Watson helps because it doubles the defensiveness, and her ultimate ability allows you to camp in a building with your traps, so you're in essence not able to be pushed by anybody when you have a good Watson on your team with good traps and good ult placement. But once you are in these games with these players who are at the top level, you're going to have to start changing how you play as a Caustic. And most people, they get kind of worried, they get kind of scared, and when I watch them play Caustic, they just throw traps constantly. They think that they're constantly needing to throw traps, but traps you don't need to immediately trap up an area. You want to have traps available to you for any circumstance that you may be put into. So you don't always want to be on 0 out of 3 traps. You want to keep some traps so that you have them for if someone's pushing you, you might want to move traps around. You might want to use them to cocoon yourself, which is something I can talk about in a little bit. But you are a defensive character, but you will sometimes need to play aggressively as Caustic. And I call this the ebb and flow of Caustic. So you don't want to sit in a building forever and just stay in the building. You want to ebb and flow. All right, you're going to go in and out of the building. You're going to fall back into your traps if you get hurt, and you're going to go out of the building to do damage to the enemy team, but you don't want to overextend yourself because then you've exposed yourself to just being beamed and knocked, and then you're out of the game and no one can help you because you're just out in the open and your teammates are probably around your building, but you've just put them at a huge disadvantage. With that moving in and out of the building, you want to make sure that your trap placement is in a way where your teammates know where you're going to put your traps so they know where they can move without being in your traps. You want to make sure you're not putting your teammates at a disadvantage by where you put your traps. You don't want to block doors off unless you specifically know your teammates will not ever go to that door. If that's like your sector of the building to be watching, they're never going to be on that side, and they're not going to need to get in and out. Because if you stop the enemies from coming in, you might also stop your teammates from going out, which is just as problematic. But one of the biggest and easiest things Caustic has that he can use is throwing his trap at his feet and letting it come up around you. I call that cocooning yourself. When you cocoon yourself, it's not 100% effective. If a good player just starts spamming nades at you, you'll die. If they shoot the trap out, you're just sitting there and crouching in the open and they can just beam you. But a lot of times you can get some situations where people don't have the wherewithal to just kill you because they might panic around your trap, especially if someone else is shooting at them. So you want to make sure you're using your traps as cover, but in general, whenever you're moving anywhere, you want to make sure you have cover in any situation. You never want to be caught out in the open. That's problematic as a Caustic, again, because of his size. Always make sure you have somewhere you can instantly duck into if you start coming under fire. Because you will come under fire every single fight. There will never be a time where you're not taking damage. You are going to have to heal more than your teammates, and poking as a Caustic is a lot more problematic because while you're poking, someone can turn and shoot you a lot easier than you can shoot them at a distance, especially. The amount of times I've been shot by a wingman from a long distance is very high, whereas I can't really hit the Wraith as easily because she's so small and AD strafing. Caustic doesn't have an AD strafe, and I can show that to you guys right now to give you a little example about his size. Alright, so here we are. I went to the firing range to be able to show this. It's a lot easier to show this in third person. It's kind of a no-brainer, but I do like to show this to people to have them kind of understand when you are playing Caustic, the disadvantage of your size is a lot bigger than most people think. So when you're doing an average AD strafe with a character like Wraith or Lifeline, we're going to use this red mark right here as the center of the center mass of somebody that you're going to be shooting at. So when you have somebody AD strafing in front of you, and this is just a normal AD strafe, just, you know, maybe some crouches in there. When you're strafing back and forth, you can see Wraith is not only moving past it, but she's completely leaving the center mass area. So if you're really strafing on someone, the movement of where their cursor has to go to hit you is pretty big, and there's a lot of room for error. Same with someone like Lifeline. She has a really good AD strafe as well as Wraith, and the ability for her to dodge bullets is pretty high, especially if you're using something like a Peacekeeper. That's a whole different story about how that's unfair with Caustic, but we'll skip that for now. So Caustic, as you can see, is gigantic compared to his smaller counterparts. When you're AD strafing, you're not really leaving the center mass, and I'm doing about the same movements here as I was on the smaller characters. Now, you might be saying, oh, he has fortification. Well, that doesn't really do much when someone can hit every shot on you without really trying. Even with AD strafing added in, or crouch spamming, you can really see that his body's not moving too far off of where the center mass of this red dot is, with the same AD strafe as Wraith and Lifeline. Now, you can do it. It's there. It is a little bit there, but it's not as good as his smaller counterparts. So your ability to use cover is imperative compared to other characters, even more so. This is why his traps are so important, because you add cover that other characters can't. When you're playing Caustic, you're playing Fortnite while everyone else is playing Apex, all right? You're building your own cover. They can't do that, except Gibby. But that's a whole other thing. So your AD strafe is a lot less effective on Caustic as it is on any other character. And that's just something you have to remember while you're playing him. Your size is huge, so you need to make sure you have cover or a building to fall back into to use traps with that you don't really have to worry about on other characters. So when you are playing aggressively, you want to always keep that in mind when you're moving to fight somebody, that you do have a place to fall back to, because if you overextend, which I've done many times, you'll just be gunned down. With all this in mind with Caustic, you have to have a really firm understanding with your team that you're playing with. Hey guys, I'm Caustic. I can't be running around being super aggressive while you guys are, because I'm going to be being beamed constantly. You have to have a more defensive mindset as a team. So if, say, you're pushing ranked, you want to make sure you're getting to the end of the games to get the most points and go for placement. So your team, hopefully it's a Watson and a Wraith at this point, are going to want to stick together at all times, and they're going to want to play from inside of buildings or at least around them to constantly be backing up their friends. Because if you're running off by yourselves, you're not going to be able to 1v3 or 1v2 in a Predator lobby as Caustic most of the time, just because from the first fight, if you're not knocked, you're going to take a lot of damage that a Wraith or a Lifeline or another smaller character or a more meta character may not take. Even Gibraltar, even though he's as big as he has a gun shield, so that gives him that advantage because he can tank a little bit more damage without being worried about getting knocked. So when you have your traps in the building, you want to make sure your trap placement is good, as I said earlier, for your team, but also for yourself, to just stop people from pushing you. Your ultimate as well. I see a lot of Caustics when they're new, they throw their ultimate on the start of any fight. You don't need to do that. It might be a waste. You get your ult back every 2 minutes, and a little bit less if you have a helmet, the gold helmet. But your ultimate can make or break fights. It is something that you can use defensively or offensively. You don't want to always just throw your ultimate immediately because you may need it later defensively. You need to be able to make split-second decisions on whether or not you're going to need it later or not. So normally I'm on the safe side. I like to keep it until I need it, because if I can fight a team without using it, that's better than having to use it, because that next team that rolls up while your team is still looting or healing from the team you already fought, especially in pred lobbies where you're going to have a lot of 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th parties, you're going to want to make sure you use it at the last moment you possibly can. Of all these little things I've spoken about, some of it might seem like it's just common knowledge, but there's some movement technique you can have with Caustic, like moving while throwing a barrel. I see a lot of people, they stand completely still to throw their barrel. Well, you don't have to be doing that. You can be walking around a corner prepping it so that the moment it throws, you peek the corner, throw it, and go back. So you're not just completely exposing yourself the entire time you're using the trap. And up ahead, I have some clips I'll go over with you guys where I was using the things I just said in actual combat in the game. Alright, so here I have some clips, and I'm going to go over a couple of things I said. So, first of all, right when I land, I immediately zone out this guy. I know he's landing with me, so I throw a trap at the elevator. So if someone's coming through, they're going to get blinded. The traps don't really do that much damage. So look at that. This Wraith came to push me, and my trap she got completely caught up in it, and I was able to kill her and her teammate. And I know the last guy's coming, but I don't have any armor. I'm 1 HP. It's probably a loss anyway. Jump in my cocoon. This guy, luckily for him, he had a grenade. I run, I get stuck, but that could have gone a little bit differently if he didn't have a grenade. But my teammates come, they pick me up, we wipe the squad, and we start fighting. So, a little bit of movement here, got to the roof. I know there's a Pathfinder there, but I immediately ran to this cover. If I wasn't playing Caustic, I might have been able to take that fight out in the open and just 80 strafe on a Wraith, but I don't want to do that as Caustic. I want to be able to move to cover immediately. Even here when I down this guy, I know there's a lot of fighting happening behind me, so I immediately jump the wall to grab this dude's armor instead of running in with half HP. So here, I've already set up a trap. I knew I was going to be fighting around here. I also knew my teammate was dead, so I was in a 1v2. This is during the duos, but I know I'm at a disadvantage against players, so I have to give myself all advantage I can get. So I threw a trap in this little room, and this is the only room I can really use, so I want to use it to my advantage, keeping high ground and whatnot. So I get a knock on that guy. His teammate's coming. I tried to throw down a trap, but I couldn't. I didn't have any more. So now he sets off the trap, and I know where he is, so I'm able to, use that to my advantage while I'm healing. And I can run right back into that Dutch oven, and baby can't even come in behind me. So now I can get a little bit more heals off, and there's nothing that he can do. Again, high ground on my building. You want to always be by cover as Caustic. You're going to see here, this guy gets the upper hand on me for a second. I wasn't expecting him to just be crouching and not moving, so that kind of threw me off. But he breaks me. At a higher level, or just in general, if someone cracks you, especially if they have a Mastiff, they're going to push you. So now he's a little confused. He shoots the bottom out, uses his Mastiff ammo, and I'm able to get an instant knockback by drilling him with the battery. So here, I whip a whole bunch on a Wraith. I'm a really good player, by the way. You can see that in how I just missed all those shots. But I'm down again. I'm in this pit. So what do? I throw my trap. You can see the bullets stopping on nothing, and it gives me the opportunity to knock this guy because the bullets, instead of hitting me, hit where my trap would be. And I was able to get a knock there. This is an example of ultimate usage right here. Once we get these 2 knocks, this is the last squad in the game. That's their only cover right there, is that big rock that I'm running towards. My teammate Fish calls out that he's getting rezzed, so I just immediately zone them out. No res is going to happen now. And the last guy's in the gas. Or the second guy's in the gas. Their third teammate got knocked but had a revive shield and got away. This little part right here is a nice little culmination of everything. I use my ultimate there to trap them. They're on my side. They can't go back through, so they're forced to fight me. If they have to stand there in the open and fight. And here, after I throw my ultimate, knock that team, we've dealt with that team, I can start getting some heals off. Even if someone pushed me, chances are I'll be able to get this heal off. Because they're going to shoot my trap immediately. So here, I'm able to get an easy Phoenix kit off. I'm just waiting now to see what's going on. My teammate gets knocked. And we know there's a whole team over there. We're getting towards the end of the game, so there's not going to be that many places to get pushed from. Do a little bit of looting, start getting shot at. I see it's a whole team, I throw down my barrel. Again, Fortnite strats, you just start building. So now I know I'm in a 3v1 situation. This isn't a good place to fight anyway, but I know my teammates aren't going to be able to do much. And I also knew that my other teammate who got knocked first had a revive shield. So I was playing off of that. And then right here we fight this Gibby who threw his dome shield down, which I punched a couple times, and we're able to get a knock. Both my teammates had revive shields in this situation, so that made things a little bit easier. Again, another team pushes us, another full stack team, and I'm just able to put down more cover for myself. Now, one thing I will say I did poorly here is I should have been helping my team here. I shouldn't have been sitting inside my barrel waiting, because they weren't looking at me. They were focusing on my team. But it did allow me, when I did peek, to have my teammates get out. Unfortunately, the last team was outside and knocked one of my teammates. But I think here I get up and we make it back out. But you see, I've already gotten off 2 Phoenix kits, and then they just keep forgetting about me and running past me. So I'm able to take that to use that to my advantage. I keep using my traps as cover, and they can barely see me. I'm using a digi threat, so I'm able to see through all my smoke. The zone's closed on me, knocking people, and I'm able to get 2 knocks out of that. I tried to go for armor there, but I accidentally jumped on a zip line, so unfortunately I get knocked to the circle here, but they did end up getting me, and we were able to win that game. Here is an example of zoning. So I'm immediately zoning this team that's in here with traps. This lifeline full sends it down, but now she can't go back up. So she goes back up. I knock the Pathfinder. This Bangalore tried pushing me in the smoke, and she was zoned out. Same with the lifeline. She can't leave. Both of the doors are trapping her inside. Another one here, I see a trap get thrown in front of me. I now know I'm facing a Caustic. So I know in this situation, he's going to be able to move in and out of the smoke just like I can, or the gas, just like I can. So when you're facing another Caustic, you want to remember that. There's going to be a guy who can run in and out of traps just like you. But you want to use that to your advantage, because most people don't know how to play against Caustics. So there, you see I threw a trap down just preemptively, and it ended up helping me out. This lifeline, there's no way she could see me. But there, it's an easy knock, and then it's an easy squad wipe, taking advantage of that Caustic. I know Caustic is really weak, and this isn't going to persuade anybody to play him more than likely, and I'm totally okay with that. I really do hope going into Season 4, we get a little bit of love shown to the thick boy. I do love Caustic. He's my favorite character to play. I don't think that's going to change. But I do hope that down the line they buff him up. And if you do play Caustic, let me know if this helped you out at all, or maybe if you learned something you didn't already know. I would love to have that happen. I do love seeing people playing Caustic, and the more people that play Caustic that are better at him, the more people can annoy each other in the lobbies, because people hate going against a good Caustic. And that's something I'm told all the time, that people hate when they go against a Caustic that knows what they're doing. And it's really fun to play. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. I want to give a shout out to my boy ymreap. I'm going to put his channel down in the description. Go follow him. Watch him on Twitch. He's a goat. He's insane. He made the thumbnail for this video. So make sure you guys check him out. Much love to Reap. But I stream on Twitch a lot. I'll put that down in the description as well. And I'd love to see you guys. I love talking shop about Apex, and I'm really excited about Season 4. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next one.